the public in our country, just like in my medical training, is indoctrinated with the sickness industry paradigm of the pharmaceutical drugs are the mainstay of all efforts to improve health. But I was asked as a consultant for a company in London to go to Brussels when they were writing the new laws for the European London for drugs and dietary supplements. And I never was able to be present there in Brussels at the general session, but I met with the British delegation. And my thrust was that we need a definition of drugs and dietary supplements that is based on biochemistry and physiology and science and not on commercialism of those that have an interest in promoting pharmaceutical drugs. That the mechanism of action for drugs is an expression of what the father of pharmacology, Paracelsus, the most noted person in world history from Switzerland, his most famous statement was, all drugs are poisons. The benefit depends on the dose. And that's the man-made drugs interfere with engineering and design of life as it's coded in the DNA to reduce symptoms. And I found out that the ideal drug is if you quit taking it, the symptoms come back. So that's good business, but when you consider the price, it's exploitation of the public. And some of these drugs, they even have to put black labels on them because they cause strokes, heart attacks, bone marrow failure, kidney failure, liver failure, because they're poisons. And it's a seriously inadequate process to take these cell poisons and elevate them to the status of to become potentially prescription drugs. Whereas, on the other hand, the dietary supplements are utilized in cellular synthesis to make bioactive compounds that the genes or programs to move the metabolism to normal. And in the S1 phase of all the cells to achieve homeostasis or balance and harmony between all the cells. And that dietary supplements support the engineering and design of life, and that this would be incorporated into the definitions of them so that people can make intelligent decisions and have a very broad diet. Fact is, this is so practical that mothers and grandmothers have long said, if you want to be healthy, different colors of fruits and vegetables. Well, they have different colors and all because they have different genes that make different substances that are phytonutrients, plant-made nutrients that are called for in the inventory of what DNA needs to support optimally cellular synthesis. And they're not toxic, and they don't have adverse side effects, and they certainly don't cause strokes, heart attacks, and organ failure like the pharmaceutical drugs. So now we'll start with this next section. Uh, that I have, and if an individual's interested in it, there are individuals that just can't find enough information that they want to learn. But I have on my computer, which I can send by email, and that's my web address there, a capital R, because if you put a small r, you'll not see it next to the M. So we say a capital R McDaniel at wellnessquest.org and request the published articles. And now I have more than 22 that are in the file about how more comprehensive nutrition built around the active ingredient from the aloe supports normal brain function. And the highest level of all the research we've been able to do, because I have never been able to get the research funds to pursue the many benefits that more comprehensive nutrition provides, because in that homeostatic zone, there are no deviations from normal. So that means that the genes have been able to make the compounds to move the metabolism to the normal zone. But the highest level we've been able to do was at the Miller School of Medicine in Miami, Florida, that in cooperation with the Miami Jewish Health System, which has the largest facility on the East Coast for retirement. And they have about 150 beds plus an outpatient service for early Alzheimer's patients. And you see the J.E. Lewis is the faculty member that I was given to work with, and Emmy Gronin was the director of research for this facility. And the Institutional Review Board of the medical school required a pilot safety study. And this is from the drug paradigm. Remember, all drugs are poison. The benefit depends on the dose. And all institutional review boards are oriented toward drugs. And so even for our nutritional study, we had to do a pilot study to prove for these old people that more comprehensive nutrition would not be toxic to them. And so for this pilot study were 30 dementia patients that they agreed to do at the Miami Health Service. And I might add, and getting this done and going there with Dr. Lewis, you cannot imagine the cynicism and the negativism that their crew had there, having done about 20 years of potential drug research for Alzheimer's. The idea, as one of them says, you don't really think that improving nutrition can help these patients that are mute and we have to take care of like a newborn baby, do everything for them. Well, it was worth the trips down there to see the amazement that 46% of the patients on improved nutrition improved memory and cognition, and 23% did not progress with their lack of memory and cognition. So that's a total of 69% benefit from our formulation that we call New Eden, that is built around the active ingredient from the aloe plant, Acemannan, combined with other nutrients that are low, missing, or avoided by choice by the American public. In addition, there was another thing about this study, that the caregivers there that took care of the 30 patients said that 100% of the patients benefited, that they were happier, less hostile, more cooperative, and easier to care for. And it's significant in the history of Alzheimer's. It was originally called dementia pugilistica. Pugilistica is talking about the fighter, and they're notorious, these patients are, to kick, push, bite, throw, act in a hostile manner, and they frequently give them Haldol injections to keep them from being so aggressive. But these people that took care of them said that going to work had been kind of a laborious thing because everybody was deteriorating and eventually died, and that it was just exciting to see every day that these patients were improving and easier to care for, and that they enjoyed coming to work a lot more. So if it was nothing but this and didn't do something for memory and cognition, this is restoring a lot of the humanity to these patients and making them easier to take care of. Also, I might add that in this study we had early, moderately dementias, and very advanced loss of brain function patients in that 30. And that the one that did the best, and I might add that in this safety study, not only did we have no toxicity or any kind of poisoning to the patients, it was safe, that we got bonuses of this improved memory and cognition from improved nutrition. And we, in the biochemistry that we had to draw blood on these patients to prove that there was no toxicity, we were able to show that the stem cells, which were CD14 monocytes on flow cytometry, increased just below 400%. You almost can't find them in a normal patient. Well, they were easy to find on the slide. In addition, we drew blood before they received any improved nutrition and at the end of the study. And when the test became available, that brain-derived neural growth factor was increased, even though it was diluted with the entire volume of the blood. We didn't do spinal taps, which one would assume it'd be much higher in spinal fluid, but even diluted by 8 to 10 liters of blood, it was still elevated from beginning to the end. And so we not only had increased number of stem cells, but with this brain-derived growth factor, that they were differentiating to become neurons to replace those that had been damaged by whatever the condition is that causes Alzheimer's. I offered to send you, if you're interested, I gave you my email, that I will send you the articles that have been published of improved brain function in different ages, from not only from school-age children that do not have any known compromise of their brain function, to college students that if they take this dietary supplement, that their memory and their grades are increased. Also, we have in that list that a psychiatrist, Catherine Dyckman in Arkansas, and her husband, a member of the faculty of the medical school there, published a paper on the benefits of this for children with attention deficit disorder, or ADD and ADHD hyperactivity. And they had evaluations of 17 students that were in special education due to this problem, that they couldn't be in the regular classes in school. And they evaluated them at 6 weeks intervals for hyperactivity and inattentiveness, oppositional defiant, compulsive disorders. And there were significant progressive improvements were documented. That's in the list that I sent to you. Now, here in Texas, we had a pioneer in nutritional research. His name was Roger J. Williams at the University of Texas. And I never knew him. He died at 94 when the average population was dying in the 60s and 70s. But in his book, Nutrition Against Disease, 1971, he wrote the statement, "The human body heals itself, and nutrition provides the resources to accomplish the task." Now, he wrote over 10 books on the contributions more comprehensive nutrition makes to improve health. And one of them that I particularly find of interest is reducing alcoholism by more comprehensive nutrition. One of the points that come up in question sessions that the negative aspect of those that control public schools for many different things that they brought about. But the father of progressive education, Professor John Dewey, PhD from the University of Chicago, is said to be the father of progressive education. And you need to know that he was an avid card-carrying communist. And in the 1930s, that was not that unusual for college faculty members. But he was also a malignant atheist. And I say malignant atheist because I've known some pretty fine people that were atheists. They just have the opportunity that everybody in this country has to see all the facts and come up with the wrong answer. But why I don't call them malignant is that if you don't believe in nothing as they do, that's fine. And but John Dewey wasn't satisfied with that. He wanted everybody and to use his influence in the public schools to try to generate and create as many atheists as possible. And he wrote one of the authors that was came out of that university called the Humanist Manifesto #1. And when I was on a member of the state school board of Texas, I gave away hundreds of copies of this as I spoke to school boards and PTAs and parent groups across the state, giving away this and warning him about the influence of John Dewey, who was a Marxist-Leninist and secular humanist. And Marxist-Leninist is that the belief in government running everything, and what they wanted to do in the school is turn out children that would turn to experts of the government and turn away from their parents, pardon me, and anything they might have learned in the home, and replace the home with the government leading this. And one of the things in the Humanist Manifesto is that the author that wrote Animal Farm in 1984, I'm blocking on his name right now, uh, called the language of writing the Humanist Manifesto as doublespeak, that the words were very carefully chosen by Dewey to make the individual reading the sentence think that he agrees with anything they believe and think and are teaching their children, but he actually means something 180 degrees opposite to what he's saying in the sentence. And in the Humanist Manifesto, he says we want to ban mythology from the curriculum. And most people thought he was talking about the symbols of zodiac and Greek mythology, but that's not what he was talking about. He was talking about all forms of a deity that Jews and Christians call Yahweh and God, and others call Allah and Creator. And I particularly like the term that Socrates, who was said to be the wisest of all men of ancient Greece, said the prime mover of the universe, which this research since 1985 has hit me across the eyes time and time again with there has got to be a creative, organizing, and designing power active in the universe. Well, John Dewey, to show that what he really meant by saying we want to eliminate mythology is that in another place he says that the King James Version of the Bible is a book of fairy tales for mentally deficient adults. So if you think I'm a wild-eyed lunatic, this is why the statues of Moses in with the Ten Commandments have been removed from courthouses, and that in the courtrooms the Ten Commandments have been taken down, and that in schools they no longer, many of them have morning prayer, and even gone on to they don't have them report the Pledge of Allegiance. This is a little off the subject, but it's involved with what is the indoctrination of what has been going on in our country, that government has been supporting drugs and what drugs do because of the influence that the sickness industry has on political races, and to support people that support secular humanism and Marxist-Leninism.